The Accusations, USAID is basically a CIA front for U.S. soft coups around the world. A lot of this money, this is crazy. Here's the accusation. U.S. government funds USAID. That money goes to various NGOs and activist groups around the world. Those various NGOs give money to various other organizations, which somehow that money finds its way into the election campaigns of politicians. This may be the system by which the deep state keeps its cronies in office indefinitely because you can't go up against them. They're basically getting money from the government. They're taking your money and they're paying themselves to run again. How do you compete with that? If they get shut down, it's going to be massive. Either way, if information comes out from Doge, from Elon Musk and his crew, about what they've been doing, and we uncover serious malfeasance, I think it's a strong possibility. This could be massive, like one of the biggest scandals in U.S. history.
Yeah.
Well, James O'Keefe did this whole a series of exposés going up to for ActBlue. He would go up to these old ladies' houses and ask them about if they had ever contributed, $75,000 in 16,000, donation increments, and they were finding out that ActBlue was acting as like a money laundering scheme for the Democrats, and I think this is probably part of it. I mean, this old lady, like one of them, only made or she's on retirement income, so it's like just Social Security. You can't do $75,000 in a year,
right?
And definitely anyone to make 16,000 donations in a year is like, you're really working hard just making donations itself. Mm-hmm. But this is all front. I mean, there's got to be a connection here.
I just want to shout out look. We need to get cash confirmed. We need have they confirmed who have they confirmed?
I'm gonna look right now.
Like obviously like Hegseth and stuff, but I mean of the remaining, they're delaying it. James O'Keefe went to these people's homes, as you mentioned. One of these old people, he's like, did you make $200,000 in donations to ActBlue? And they're like, what? I don't have that kind of money. And he's like, are you making 47 donations of $5, 47 donations per day of $5 to $20? And they're like, no. Some entity is using ActBlue, it appears, to funnel money through people's names that they've stolen into politicians and PACs and other people's hands. This needs to be criminally investigated. The preponderance of evidence is in front of our faces.
Yeah. So for a little context, USAID was created in the 60s by
Kennedy.
JFK.
By executive order.
Yeah, by executive order. Now, there was a bill passed, right? So the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 was passed by Congress, which authorized the establishment of a new agency. But that isn't actually USAID. USAID is essentially a front for, like we said, for CIA. And there was a time where it was important to have USAID, and that was, when communism was a threat, right? There was a time where the domino theory was legitimate, the idea that more and more countries were going to fall to communism, that the influence of the Soviet Union was something that threatened the whole world. And so that was when USAID existed to help to influence other countries to prevent them from becoming communist by providing them with funding, providing them with help with infrastructure, and also there was the covert actions which CIA would do, which was trying to topple other governments. But it was important. But after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Organizations like USAID and the like, they don't have the same goal anymore. There is no communism. There is not global communism in the way that it was when the Soviet Union existed. There's no effort of global communism. Now the effort for global communism comes from the UN. It comes from the NGOs that the US is actually involved with. It's not the same kind of communism. It probably would look something more like Chinese communism, where you've got markets and market communism or whatever, but it's still a top-down authoritarian government, and USAID doesn't need to do the same kind of things. And so if it's actually just turned into a money laundering operation, get rid of it. Mm-hmm. It's not something that's necessary the way that it used to be. And, Doge is showing that
what does it ultimately mean, though? Let's say that the U.S. stops engaging in these international soft coup manipulations. You guys ever hear that story? I think it's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
haven't seen
it's
it.
a book, right?
Yeah. This guy, it's a while ago, he was saying that the U.S. strategy was basically first they go to you and they say, okay, we're going to give you a bunch of money if you do what we want you to do. If the leader says no, they say, okay, well, then we're going to manipulate your system and we're going to throw you out of power. If that fails, then they send in the wet works. They go in and remove that person. Mm-hmm. And the examples they give is like Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein. Assuming that's true, if USAID is dismantled to a great degree and the U.S. stops engaging in this, what does the world look like?
I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty pro-America. So, like, I do think that in the absence of the United States being the global hegemon and having the influence that it does, you end up with something like China, someone like China or possibly Russia. Russia has, like, if you list all the countries that have the most slaves, currently Russia is like number 5 or 6, right? It's a train wreck, and China's not a whole lot better. So as much as like the U.S. has problems and there is human trafficking and stuff, that's not something that the United States openly is okay with, and there are other countries where that is still okay. The U.S. is the best country in the world still, even though we have our own problems. I'm not trying to say that the U.S. is perfect and that we're completely clean. When you're a government doing government things, you're going to do bad things to people sometimes. And that's not an excuse. That's just the reality because we live in a complex, dangerous world. But the idea of having China in that position or having Russia in that position is far worse. I mean,
well, what is the path that we're on that leads to that not being the case?
Of us not being the
like everything we're seeing right now with tariffs and the potential shuttering of USAID, does that lead to a China-dominated planet, a unipolar China Communist Party, or a U.S.-dominated?
I don't think so. I think the most likely way that we end up with the Chinese dominating or with Russia dominating is if we don't take care of our economy and we allow the unfunded liabilities, the mandatory spending to blow up the dollar. I think that's the most clear and present threat to the US.
What's crazy is that for, I don't know how long it's been, 50, maybe 40 years, the U.S. economy has been extracted. We've been giving away our jobs and industry to Mexico, to Canada, and to China.
Yeah.
And this has led to the threat of nuclear annihilation with a massive superpower that is China. That didn't have to be the case. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.